If you're in the market for a guitar for your children or for yourself to get started, but you're not in the, €1,000 budget, but you're also not in the super, get the guitar from China budget, you want something decent from a good company, then this video might be for you. I taught guitar for 10 years, just to give you a little bit background. One of the guitars I always recommended was the Yamaha Pacifica. It's a good beginner guitar. Is it great? No. Some of the sounds are a little bit grating, but it's good quality, good company, which is important if you have any problems. Harley Benton is a company from Thomann, in-house brand, low-budget guitars. Some of them great, some of them not so great. They don't have the perfect beginner guitar for me yet. And they weren't around when I was teaching. To me, the perfect beginner guitar is pretty stable when it comes to tuning. Doesn't have a tremolo because the kids will go wee wee, that little wiggle stick, and it will detune the guitar. Both the guitars we're reviewing today have tremolos because those companies realize that's what the kids want. Okay, fine. Both a beginner guitar also should have a similar pickup configuration like this one. That's a humbucker, which is great for rock and roll and metal, and 2 single coils, which get you the thinner sounds, and the combinations of these get you a variety of tone. On this guitar, which is Ibanez's answer to the Pacifica, you even have a whole second layer of tone. So you got the 5 positions, and I'll show you what these are. Single coil, both of them together for a nice hollow sound. This one by itself, most people don't use that. These 2, which is another hollow sound, and then the humbucker by itself if you want to rock and roll. Now here's a whole second layer, which are different combinations for different sounds. Now, are all those usable? Are those sounds you as a beginner will be able to distinguish and your kids need? On the other hand, it doesn't hurt that they're there. Ibanez has the AZ line. There are some for 2,000 and above from Japan. Then there are the premium ones from Indonesia, which are about 1,200, 1,299, great guitars. And now there's the education version, the AZES, AZ Education Series. They don't have the roasted something thing and fancy woods, and they're stripped down. But the great thing is the shape, the weight, the shape of the neck, the playability, and these have been developed together with Tomo Fujita, a Berklee College of Music guitar teacher. It's one of the most renowned colleges in the world. I went there. And Tomo knows what he's doing. He's been teaching for so many years. He knows what a student guitar should be like. So these have been developed together with him. This is the 2021 Pacifica. Generally, a little bit bigger in body shape, bigger horn, a little bit more weight, not massively more weight. Also a tremolo, not a free-floating, so it's not just, it can't go in both directions. Both guitars have the tremolo sitting on the guitar. Looks like this. So it can go up, but it can't go down. I recommend realistically on both guitars, and I know I have viewers of my channel who will disagree with me, don't use the tremolo, don't give them the wiggle stick. Just don't use it, because it's just asking for trouble. And of course, you can modify these guitars, as I've shown in my other videos, with lubricating this and the nut for the strings to glide through it better, and locking tuners and all that stuff to be more stable in tuning. But realistically, don't invite those problems. So both guitars are coming in at the same price. $329 for this, and I think this is also $329. So money-wise, no difference. Both of them don't come with a gig bag. As far as I know, Thomann, it says anything on this. No, I know this doesn't come in a gig bag. Biggest difference, obviously, is this has a Jatoba fretboard, which is a dark wood, and this has a maple fretboard, which technically should result in a little bit more treble if we believe in wood affecting the tone. The body on this is alder. It's a very traditional wood for this type of guitar. The body on this is poplar, which is what Ibanez uses. Jatoba fretboard, maple fretboard, maple neck, maple neck. Necks on both look nice. Some beautiful grain on there. The tuners are very likely from the same manufacturer or very similar. Both of them coming from Indonesia, so the chances are that they're actually made in the same factory or factories on the opposite side of the street. Something like this. Now, here we have a shorter pick guard. This is the pick guard, the plastic thing that, or scratch guard when you're playing with a pick. You know, you're scratching this instead of the paint job of the guitar, which means that the humbucker is actually sitting in its own frame, whereas here we have the traditional, everything is mounted on the pickguard, which in this case is a little bit greenish, a little bit more traditional and oldified. The clear, very white plastic stuff on guitars often scream cheap. So I think the whole overall feel of the AZES is a little bit more pricey or high-end, only if you know guitars. Now, this horn, when I'm holding it, it's angular. This is rounded off. So ergonomically, the AZES wins hands down, because it is a smoother, the lower horn compared to this. Everything here is a little bit more bulky. Now, if you have a smaller kid, loads of girls are finally starting to pick up the electric guitar. Thank the Lord. If you have a smaller girl, teenager, I think the AZES is a good idea, because you're not fighting with the body that much. I mean, we're talking tiny little difference, but there is one. Let's compare the sounds. Well, on this you got the plastic knobs. Here you got the nice metal dome heads, which is neat, if that's something you should care about. And you have a push-pull on this to turn this into one of those single ones. So yeah, the AZES has more sounds. Question is, do you need them? We have to point that out. This has a traditional jack plate. That's a little piece of plastic that the jack is on. And there's a washer that goes over it. And oftentimes these loosen. And then the whole jack loosens. And you're always kind of taking your fingers to tighten that, which is a pain in the ass, and it really, really, really is. And we have to point out that Ibanez fixed that by designing a whole new cheap guitar jack plate, which is fully made out of plastic and does away with the washer. For me, that's one of the best new things on the market ever, because we guitar players are very traditional and we don't like changes. So we still have these things even on high-end guitars, and I don't understand why, because it's a bad system. So we're going into the Tone King, Sky King. You will very likely go into a practice amp, which would be like the Yamaha THR, if you're in the Yamaha camp, although they are a little bit more on the pricey side. The Spark from Positive Grid, I gotta say, right now is smoking most of the practice amps on the market. And I'm not being paid by Positive Grid to say that. So let's tune it. The Pacifica has the traditional, why am I talking like this? The more modern tuners where you put the string through and then kind of tie it up and wind it. Here, they are open on the top, so you put it in from the top. This is more difficult to string. This is easier. On this, the strings can easier slip through. So pros and cons. Realistically, I would recommend both brands to frickin' start using something like this, which are locking tuners. Or if they don't come to their senses and offer locking tuners, which are a good idea for the beginner and advanced player, go spend the extra $40, install them yourself, and have a much better guitar experience. So here we are on the neck pickup. We're going into the orange Super Crush, the thing on the top right there, amp for €499. Okay. Clean sounds a little bit on the trebly side, a little bit ice picky, a little bit on the cheaper side. I gotta say that. Okay. So for me, the humbucker sound, the thing I just last played, the rock and roll sounds, they were thicker, more defined, and just jumped out more on the Pacifica. I gotta say this. That was a better sound on the Pacifica in the back there with the humbucker and the high gain sound. The clean sounds were more adult, more mature, more refined on this with the single coils and the in-between positions. It's a fine detail that most certainly a beginner would not know for a long time. You have to kind of develop an ear for this. So will it matter? I don't know. Probably not. But this is avoiding that ice-picky treble on the high strings that the Yamaha has. However, when it comes to the heavier stuff, I think this has a little bit of the Nase vorn, as we say in German, the nose ahead. Handling-wise, this is a little bit on the smaller and dainty side. This is more guitar. Okay, I mean, not like a Les Paul or something in a different model that's all big and heavy. The differences are minute. Both of them are good. I think the strength of the Yamaha clearly is in the humbucker sound, not in the single coil sounds, whereas here the strength is clearly in the more realistic and more adult, mature single coil sounds. You know, but are you gonna play Hendrix when you're a beginner? I don't know. The flexibility, of course, here is greater with 9 different sounds, whereas this, we're not even gonna try the single coil in the back. I'm sorry, that's not gonna be good. This has 6 different sounds. Well, 7. Well, 9 versus 7, do we really care? Both of them have many sounds. Done. I don't know if this helped you any. For me, it was very important to know because people always ask me what should be a good guitar, what should be a good guitar. Now I know what to ask. How much distortion are you playing? What styles are you playing? How important are stratty, single coil sounds, in between positions, all that stuff. How big are you? How big are your hands? All these things matter. As I said, put locking tuners on them, helps on both guitars, and take the wiggle stick away from the kids. Because they will both not be stable in tuning. It just isn't something that the kid and the parents who are new to guitar will know. Of course, if dad or brother or grandfather is used to guitars, they can do mods, they can lubricate. You can set it up to be more stable. It will never be as stable as a good high-end system. And I know my viewers will disagree with that, but it's what I think. So, 2 guitars from Japanese companies coming out of Indonesia. You take your pick. I'll link to both below at Sweetwater and Thomann. If you use the links, that really helps me. This video was not paid for by either brand. They just let me check out the guitars, which I know, going back to them. So thank you for that. You guys have a good one. Please use the links, subscribe, ring the bell, all that nice stuff. And animals will be at the end, which you don't know because you've never seen one of these videos, but there's animals at the end.